Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Uh, Talk a little bit about the start to your season and the way you're throwing. And I know Kenny seems to be very happy with it, but are you happy with where you're at right now?
I think so. I mean, the Arkansas game was kind of tough to pitch in because of the conditions, but since then I've gotten better each outing, so I'm definitely feeling good going into this weekend.
How about the travel? How's it?
It hasn't been too bad since we've kind of spread it out, so it's been shorter drives to each place. It's not terrible.
Also, the idea that going against an LSU team that, like your team, has got some really good pitchers. That you're probably going to get into a game or in matchups tomorrow that it's going to be screwed down pretty tight. How do you like that as a pitcher, knowing that there's a little more scoreboard pressure?
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely probably be a game of two pitchers duels, but I think that's what everyone expects. And I mean, you just got to go out there and throw your best. I mean, we want the game I threw last year against them, we lost 1-0, so the room for error, you just know, is a little smaller, but you just got to still go out there and throw your stuff.
I have to ask you this and Alysen both, coming in, as transfers. You went through last season until it was stopped. How much different? How much more comfortable, at ease? How much more does it feel home? Is this year for you in Stillwater and at Oklahoma State as opposed to maybe last year?
I think the biggest difference was already being comfortable this fall, because last fall was kind of the phase of getting acclimated. But since we'd had already done that, we had a full preparation of the fall, like already comfortable. So that was helpful. But besides that, it's pretty normal. I mean, season feels pretty normal, just like last year. So it's exciting. And I mean, there's a long ways to go. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you.
Carrie, Coach was telling me that softball can be incredibly humbling at times, and we were mostly talking about that from the batter's perspective. But from a pitching perspective, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's accurate? And
For sure. I mean, especially when you're playing tough opponents, you can get exposed really fast. So you definitely always have to be or bring your best as much as you can, and your mistakes have to be smaller because the margin of error is a lot smaller. And if you're not, you're gonna be humbled real quick.
I guess the cliche, especially for pitchers, you have to have a short memory. I don't know if you kind of ascribe to that theory or anything like that, but I guess, do you try and have a short memory when you give up a hit or something? And how does that work for you?
For sure. I mean, I'm very much a routine person, so I have like just like mental releases I do on the mound, just like one pitch at a time, and going um through all that for sure, because things can spiral real quick when you're out there on the mound. So just taking one pitch at a time is really important.
Do you find catcher visits or visits from the pitching coach or anything? Do you find those helpful at calming you down too?
Usually I control when people come and talk to me. I don't know, I'm very much like a in my own head kind of person. So if I need the catcher, I will let them know. But besides that, I'm kind of try and work through it myself.
I guess last thing I'll ask you, because I don't know, is how is there a sign to let the catcher come, or is that kind of unspoken, or is it just, hey, come
I
out?
usually just call time, honestly. I'm just like, come here, so pretty um obvious in that aspect. But
Gotcha. Thank you, Carrie.
yep.
Hey, Carrie. We're talking to Coach just a minute ago. I asked him just kind of like, this is probably the biggest weekend, biggest games you're playing this weekend of the season so far. And, I talked about just the confidence boost that this could build, something to build momentum off early in the season. He said you're most likely going to start that second game against LSU. How important do you think getting a win there and just a couple wins this weekend is going to be for the team going forward?
I think either win or lose, this weekend's important just to experience the atmosphere and toughness that comes with playing top 10 teams day in and day out, to test you for when it matters come May. So being tested this early in the season is important and helpful regardless of the outcome. So obviously would love a win, but we just want to go in there, compete, and do the best we can, and hopefully the outcome is in our favor.
And then he said that this kind of has the atmosphere of a regional or super regional. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, LSU, YOLO, those are the kind of teams you're going to see come regionals and super regionals. So definitely going to be that atmosphere for sure.
Thank you so much.
All right. Is that all for Carrie? Alysen. Thanks, Carrie. And now I've got Alysen.
Alysen, how are things going? Obviously pretty good by the numbers.
Yeah, pretty good. I feel like I'm starting to get more comfortable. I'm not necessarily where I want to be with my swing right now, but definitely working towards that.
Yeah, I asked Carrie the same question. We ended up talking to both you guys a lot last year, leading up to the end of the abrupt end of the season, and I got the feeling that that you guys were happy to be in Stillwater, but it was still kind of a getting used to everything. How much different is this year as opposed to the season that started last year for you, as far as comfortability?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's that big of a difference. I think like my first couple of months at OSU were hard in that aspect of it. I was not comfortable, and it was more of like just trying to figure things out. But I think Coach G has really done a good job at like working with transfers and making sure they're comfortable. So I don't really feel that much of a difference. I mean, I probably have better relationships with my coaches now, just being able to talk about how I play and stuff like that. But overall, I don't really see that much of a difference.
I don't know how you felt when you left Georgia, and I'm not sure exactly what you were looking for when you got to Stillwater. But one of the things you found, whether that was what you were looking for or not, you're a little bit the face of this team. You got a hitting streak going. When last season finished, you were on a tear. Are you comfortable with that? And is that something you wanted when you left Georgia for Oklahoma State? I kind of want to be the straw.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of why I left is because I wanted to love softball again, and I don't really think that I was at that at Georgia. And then I came here, and softball is fun again, so I think that's contributes a lot to my success.
Do you like, though, the fact that not that you don't have great teammates, Pennington, Naomi, Factor, you just go down the line. This is really a talented team, but your name is generally the one that gets thrown out first. Is that kind of cool?
I mean, like, I don't really like put it on myself. Like, I don't have an issue with it, but it's not like something that I'm gonna like walk around. It's a team sport. It's not all me.
Good
Alysen,
enough.
Oh, sorry, Robert.
No, that's cool.
Alysen, I was just going to ask, Coach was telling me that, especially batting in softball, it can be really humbling at times. 1 out of 3 is a great. But he said that you managed to stay pretty steady with your approach to batting. Do you agree with that? And how humbling is softball exactly?
I think as I have like gone through like my years like with softball like in college, I think I have like really changed my approach. I think I don't walk up to the plate like looking for hits. I'm really just like trying to move runners and score runs. It's not about me, like I said earlier. It's just what I can do for the team, and I just go up there with a good approach and just reading the situation a lot.
And that was one thing I wanted to ask about, because Coach mentioned also that you were kind of one of the best on the team at maybe cataloging your pitches and previous at bats, kind of breaking down an at bat. Could you just kind of take me through your approach at the plate?
Yeah, I do think that's something that I've gotten really good at, just getting older. I think it's I would be stupid not to think that people aren't going to pitch me different than somebody like maybe a freshman. Like I just really like I think I'm good. I've gotten good at like from each at bat, like thinking about like how they pitched me and like the one before and like knowing like, oh, if I hit a home run on the outside corner, they're likely not going to go there again. So just thinking about it in that way, not just thinking like, oh, I got to get a hit right here. I think honestly, like slowing the game down like that makes it a lot easier on you too.
Are you a big film person? I'm kind of new to the team. That might be knowledge, but I don't know. Are you a big film person?
So we did so much film at Georgia, like so much. We would sit in our indoor for 4 hours and just watch film. So like I think it's kind of been drilled in my head, but we'll watch film here. We watch a lot of film on ourselves. So just going back and like looking at our games, where at Georgia we were more of like we did that as well, but we also scouted pitchers a lot, which I think it can be helpful, like knowing like what type of pitcher, like if it's a drop ball or rise ball, but also at the same time, I think if you break it down too much, you're going to walk up to the plate and be confused. So I think like having an idea of like who the pitcher is good, but I don't know necessarily if you should be like, oh, like expecting like a certain pitch. And I think film can do that.
Yeah, 4 hours. That seems a lot.
Yeah.
I guess, but I guess it kind of helps you master film a little bit, or at least get good at kind of knowing what to look for.
Yeah.
What's like the main thing you try and look for when breaking down an opposing pitcher that you'll soon face?
I used to be really bad about letting it get in my head. I used to like watch it and then try and get in the batter's box and be like, oh, they're going to throw me an inside pitch right here. Right now, like I usually just look for tendencies, like how like they typically throw a left-handed batter or throw a power hitter or like just stuff like that. Or like if they have any like picks on a changeup or an off speed, just stuff like that, just to get an idea of like how the pitchers are, not necessarily like trying to like predict what's going to happen.
Gotcha. Well, I forgot to say earlier, I tried to introduce myself to everyone I haven't talked to yet because I am new on the beat. So I'm Sam and I'm with the Okali. So I'll be covering you guys all season long. So I appreciate the time today.
Cool.
Alysen, I was going to ask you this tomorrow. I asked Kenny this as well. They've got 4 really good arms. You know, Sinceri, you know, I think a lot of people know about Wickersham and so forth. How excited are you? Not that you haven't seen some good pitching so far, but how excited are you to see some pitching of that caliber?
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, I made this comment earlier. I've played LSU so many times in my career, just coming from the SEC. It's like, dang, here we go again. But I think it'll be good just to prepare us. I think McNeese was a good like transition into it because the teams last weekend, they were pretty much, their pitching was similar. And McNeese, we finally saw some velocity. So I thought that was good going into this weekend. But I think it'll be good preparing us for the rest of the season, just seeing good pitching like that early on.
How much talk is there with this group? You know, like, you know, you and Naomi or you and Sydney or as far as talking through at bats, you know, going to the dugout, hey, this is what I saw. How important a role is that, talking amongst the hitters?
I think it's really important. I think it affects me a lot because if you look in our lineup, I'm the first left-handed hitter to hit. So I don't have anything going into the box, but that's when I can tell like Carly or like whoever's left-handed, like this is what they throw me. But I don't know. I think that just kind of goes back to like generalizing, like if it's a drop ball, like you got to have that kind of approach and just like, you can't guess when you're hitting, you can't guess that they're going to throw you on a certain side of the plate. So just having a good idea of what they throw.
Good enough. Thank you.
Hey, Alysen, I got a question for you. Coach kind of referenced playing these games and, you know, some of the transfers that have come in. It's like you're coming not to beat LSU, you're coming to play in OKC. Also, he mentioned how these long road trips are so important in team chemistry. When you referenced, you know, wanting to love softball again and have fun doing this again, these the moments that you really remember, these long road trips? And is this kind of what makes it special for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that just like kind of goes back to the last year with COVID like ending. I still remember Coach G pulling us in like the team room and he was crying. We were all crying like because we had no idea what was going to happen. So I think just coming off of that into this year, like I don't think anyone's taking anything for granted, and just having like trips like this, like yeah, like I'm sure like people are like ready to go home. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I was like ready to go home and play at home, but like being on the road like this with your teammates, that's how you get close to them. So
Thank you.
Mhm.